So welcome to another ARL TV product review. We're just doing a quick first impressions of the Oculus Rift DK2. We'll do a quick unboxing first of all, and then we're going to have a look at the couple of demos that are shipped with the unit, and then we're going to get a view from inside the eyepiece of what iRacing may possibly look like in the future of DK2. So it comes just in a cardboard box this time, as opposed to the DK1, which came in a nice sturdy plastic case, but not going to be too much of a problem, certainly not for me. I'm not going to be planning to travel around with it or anything. That's the DK2 itself, the headset itself. Comes with a USB and HDMI cable woven into one single cable coming out of the top of the headset. Looks very similar to the DK1, apart from the fact that it's not as tall, it's a bit wider as well. But otherwise the straps work pretty much in the same sort of way, one going over the top and a band going around the sides. You've got the lenses in there, those are the A-cup lenses that come fitted with it, and the padding, foam padding all around the helmet is, or around the headset rather, is very similar to what we've seen before on the DK1. Next up then is the little infrared camera that's used now for the positional tracking. So this is a big difference of course between the DK1, which just had your rotational tracking, whereas this has this little infrared cameras to do positional, so you can lean forward, side to side as well, lean back, and it will track you in 3 dimensions. The camera can either just be mounted on like a little tripod or put it on top of your monitor, which is where I have it now. They recommend that you have it around 5 feet away from you to get the best kind of range of movement that you can have for your positional stuff. Mine's quite a bit closer than that, unfortunately, for now, but it'll do. It'll be good enough to get us started. Those are the B-cup lenses that also come with them, so if somebody is particularly nearsighted, then that should be a better option for them, but we'll just be sticking with the A-cups for our review. And then we've got a little box of the power supply, and also different attachments for different countries. So we've got our UK one in there, obviously, which is what we need. You only actually need to plug it into the wall if you're going to plug anything else USB based into the headset itself. It will just run itself straight from the USB in your computer, so that's nice and straightforward. Just underneath those then are, well, it comes with a DVI adapter as well, sorry. DVI HDMI adapter. I was going to say then, yeah, a couple of other cables. So we've got a sync cable for the infrared camera with a USB cable as well. So both of those cables plug into the headset's little control box. Little screen wipe, and just looking again at the couple of cables that are attached to the headset. As I say, we've got the USB cable and the HDMI cable on there, which just plugs straight into your PC. And then we've just got the little instruction manual in there as well, just a few pages just to make sure you get it set up in the right order. Actually worked out pretty good, followed it, and didn't have too many other dramas. And so that's the unboxing. So we're just going to load up now the first of the demos and start using it. Okay, so we've got the DK2 all set up now. You can see the little LEDs picking up on the webcam, which aren't visible in real life. That's used for the positional tracking there. Didn't have too many worries getting it set up really. Update the firmware, get the IPD set up, get the personal measurement for the pupils set up to get all the software settings right. And then we've got a little static demo here that comes with a configuration utility. So I'll quickly chuck the headset on and show you what that is going to be like. Okay, so yes, we have got a little work desk with various different assets placed on it, and your instant reaction from this is just how mind-blowingly convincing the 3D effect is. It really is. You sit here peering around this plant pot or looking up into the bulb of the lamp here. Really, you see the typical thing, of course, where everyone tries to, an Oculus wants to reach out and you want to sit here and knock the cards over and try and fiddle with a pencil and that sort of stuff. And the positional tracking really does bring just a massive element to the sense of presence that you're going to have. It's it's yeah, it's mind-blowing. You know, you sit there and you can just there's nothing to do, but you quite happily sit here looking around for a few minutes, you know. Resolution, you know, tons better obviously than on the DK1, as we know. Interestingly, where I've had a couple of people just come and try it who haven't really had any experience with anything like this before. They've not even commented on the resolution. They've not talked about at all the fact that pixels are visible. It's not a distraction for me, it seems, even at this resolution. Same with the field of view. Yeah, there's lots of lots of comments rather on perhaps the field of view being slightly narrow. And if I actually try and think about it, then sure, it could be a bit wider, but I'm pretty comfortable with the amount that it is. And again, random people who have tried it haven't thought anything of it, haven't mentioned it at all. They've just been completely immersed within this experience and say wanting to reach out and touch and look around at different bits and pieces. There's a couple of little options just on this little demo here. First thing is this has just turned on the little grid to show where the positional camera can actually track. So as soon as I just move out of that grid, it's just going to stutter a little bit and it just loses me and doesn't quite feel right. So you've got to stay within the box here. I've got the camera a bit closer really than you would ideally want, but it still allows me plenty of movement. Probably the bit I'm struggling with the most is going forward, but shouldn't need to move around too much. Can have it set up to stand as well, so I'm looking right down at the desk and down at the chair, but obviously that feels a bit bizarre when you sat down yourself. Now, I've obviously watched a fair few of these sort of videos on YouTube already and seeing this, this warped display that you're seeing now, and it just doesn't give you any idea as to the actual sense that you're receiving in it. It really does feel like there is a physical object here, and granted with the textures and things, of course, it doesn't feel like real life or anything, but it certainly feels like you are looking at something that has a depth to it and a scale to it. And I've just never been interested really in 3D at cinemas and home TVs. I've never really thought it was effective, and it was very much a distraction, I always thought. But really, this is just so convincing. So yeah, full 360 view, cameras track me all the way around pretty much. Yeah, amazing. Right, so that's the first little demo then of just this demo that's within the configuration utility. Whew. As we come back to reality again, let's quickly set up the Tuscany Oculus World demo. Right, so this is the Tuscany demo that we're all familiar with from the DK1. Get rid of the little health and safety warning. Let me find my controller. There we go. Turn my Xbox controller on. Sorted. Right. So this is the first bit that really gives an idea as to what we can expect from games in the DK2. It really, again, you watch these videos on YouTube about people watching the DK using the DK1 and the recent ones for the DK2 as well, and they talk about the scale and again you watch a video and you just think, oh, that's just like I see on my computer game when I'm playing normally, but I'm sitting here looking up at this big chimney stack and it really it just feels like there is something there. How could there not be? It's all perfect scale. You really do get again this very, very convincing 3D effect. So again, looking at the chair here, I can sit here and look around and it just almost, it's funny then, when I first moved my head I kind of initially wondered if the position tracking wasn't working properly because I didn't feel kind of the effects, but that's because it felt like I was looking at a real chair. I kind of forgot for a second that I wasn't expecting a different response to what I would just expect to see in real life. So yeah, it's crazy. You can sort of peer out through window ledges a little bit. So if I sit back here, I can't see a little pot plant that's just on the other side of this wall here, but as soon as I peer around, the plant comes completely into view, and as I say, it's a really bizarre sensation initially as you try and get an idea as to what this technology can do. Same with these candlestick holders here on the wall. I can kind of go sort of completely sideways for it, and I can see now through to the window beyond, and yeah, you're just completely fooled into feeling that that's a real object. So we don't need to spend too long in here, I guess. So if you've interested in the Oculus Rift, I'm sure you've seen this demo before. There's nothing new compared to the DK1, but just you forget about the resolution quite quickly. You forget about the field of view very quickly, I think. and as I found initially trying to look in one of those chairs there, you kind of even forget just about the effect that this 3D setup has. So it just you can very easily, I think, get tricked into thinking you're looking at a real object. Now, a couple of people I have had who have tried this so far, have found maybe a little bit of kind of nausea with it, and I can see where they're coming from. I think the demo that we did a second ago, where we were just static and you're just sitting at a desk, I'm not feeling a hint of it. But when you're moving around, but your inner ear is saying that you're not moving, and yet you're seeing the world go by, it does just unsettle you just slightly. And I never generally feel like I'm one for having a sort of travel sickness and that sort of stuff, but you don't feel maybe quite right. I think it's just something that, like the DK1, you desensitise to quite quickly. But I certainly remember reading and listening to the various interviews from the Oculus staff saying that they felt that the kind of a risk of nausea really was perhaps gone with the DK2. And I would say, with how it has it at the minute, I don't think that's quite the case. I mean, there may be that I've got settings maybe not quite as I want. Maybe I can optimise it a little bit, but yeah, it does feel a bit weird, especially when you go down these stairs. Moving just horizontally isn't too bad, but as I go down these stairs now, I could in fact, actually travelling down is okay, and then as you get to the bottom and you stop travelling down and you go flat again, that doesn't feel quite right. But yeah, fireplace is pretty cool here. Having a look at the logs as well. They don't feel real, but they feel like somebody has put together a card log and textured it and placed it there in front of me. So anyway, so that's the DK2. The next thing we're going to try is seeing if we can hack together a bit of it working on iRacing to a very, very limited extent to see how that's going to work. Unfortunately, the real selling point of it, the head tracking, isn't going to be working in iRacing yet, but it might be able to give us an idea of just the view into it, so we shall see. Right, so we're going to see how this comes out in the video, but here is a very hacked together example of how iRacing may look in the Oculus Rift DK2. So I'm seeing a lot of flickering on my little preview screen, so hopefully it's not too bad on the final video. I'm watching it slightly delayed through my webcam, so that's what I'm going to be putting into the wall sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, so there's no head tracking or anything on this, and the field of view isn't quite right because it's set up for the old DK1. But anyway, it gives us an idea of the actual resolution. So when I just had it on my head a moment ago, as it's difficult to tell because the field of view isn't quite right, and it's a bit warped and yeah, all kind of wrong way around. Aspect ratio is not quite right and things. But I have to say, I was, as an anticipation as to what it might be like once it's implemented properly, I think actually I'm a little bit disappointed that the resolution didn't feel like it was going to be a little bit better. It's not able to see as far down the road maybe as I had hoped, but certainly the interior of the car looked nice, and you got a real sense of a 3D effect as well. Actually, that was very, very noticeable straight away, just putting the headset on just for a couple of seconds before I shoved the camera in there. But yeah, I kind of hoped maybe I'd have a slightly better view down the track and maybe be able to spot brake markers and things. So I'll reserve judgment for now until actually the update is put in properly and it is designed to be used with it. As I said, it's absolutely a hack job, just tricking the game into thinking this is an original DK1 basically. But anyway, give us a little bit of an idea. That's the view through the camera through the lens. If I move it out now, you see that yeah, that is just the two lenses in the Oculus Rift. It says no head tracking or anything, just in this sort of setup, but there's the right eye as well. Anyway, gives you a bit of an idea as to what it may be like. Right, so so that was a little first impressions then, just of the Oculus Rift DK2. I will do another video, I'm sure, for a proper review of what it's like in iRacing once an official release is put in. If you wanted to subscribe to our Apex Racing UK channel, then you might see some races on there using the Oculus Rift in the future once it's all implemented. But otherwise, I think that'll do for now for our little preview. So thank you very much, hope you enjoyed it.